Hey guys, it's Sai from ProSeek. Today we're very excited to have an amazing guest with us, Jaclyn Baker, your 2025 Arnold Fitness Champion, as well as your 2024 second place Olympia finisher. So Jaclyn, thanks for coming on today, and
Thank you
I'm
so much
very
for
excited
having
to
me.
talk to you. So I think starting out, why don't we introduce yourself and then the fitness category for anyone who is new to that one?
Okay, great. So, like Sai said, Jaclyn Baker, Miss Fitness International, Miss Fitness International UK, and Miss Fitness Olympia runner-up for 2024 and 2022. So basically, I compete in the fitness division of bodybuilding. We have two components. One is our physique component, which is very similar to figure. We train like figure competitors. We're supposed to have the same or similar physique, shoulder caps, narrow waist, sweeping quads, nice back. Not as big as physique or bodybuilding, but not as small as bikini. So again, similar conditioning, similar physique as figure. And then the second component that makes us different from most other divisions or all divisions is that we have a routine component. So the routine component is combined of gymnastics, dance, some people are cheerleaders, fitness skills, whatever really your strengths are, you can add into your routine. We have four required skills, which are a push-up of any kind, a high kick, a straddle hold, and a split. So those are pretty basic for anyone who's been active in gymnastics, dance, cheerleading. And then on top of that, you just add any skills that you want. We're judged on endurance, stamina, performance quality, continuity with the routine, overall showmanship, entertainment value. And then it just comes down to, the opinion of 7 to 9 judges and what they like. And then our combined score is what gives us our final score. Our physique round is 1/3 of our score, and our routine round is 2/3 of our score.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so it looks like the performance round is actually so it's weighted even heavier than the
It
physique.
is weighted heavier, yeah.
Yes, that makes the fitness category very unique. So what is your background that helps you with fitness, and why did you choose fitness over the other ones?
So my background is in dance. So I actually was a competitive dancer all growing up. I went to college for dance at the University of Arizona. So I graduated with a BFA from University of Arizona, and then I moved to New York City to pursue dance. Dance professionally here for 10 years prior to bodybuilding, and then I was kind of at the end of my career. I had just turned 30, and I was like, I'm done with, being on stage. I want to get like a real person job. And that's when I transitioned into bodybuilding. So my background is in dance. With my dance, I also had a lot of acrobatic background. I didn't have gymnastics. We didn't do bars and beam and all that kind of stuff. I have more what I call like dancer tumbling, which is like technically like prettier stuff, more aesthetically pleasing, not as powerful as some of the gymnast or cheerleader skills.
Okay. So how hard was it for you to learn like the required skills for fitness?
The required skills weren't very hard. They are pretty basic as far as like anyone who has done cheerleading, gymnastics, dance for years. But there are a lot of skills that aren't required, but most competitors do, which are a lot of handstand holds and more strength holds. And I had never done those till I competed. So
Hmm.
things like a handstand press, which is basically where you press all the way up to a handstand and come all the way down. Most competitors do that or some version of that. So I didn't learn that until 2019.
Were you already a fan of like training and working out as a dancer, or is that something that like you were like, oh, I'm in bodybuilding now, I have to like start
No, I
lifting?
actually, like I said, was at the end of my dance career. And in dance, like the goal was always to be skinny, and muscle wasn't really
Mhm.
a thing that was looked like highly upon. In fact, when I was younger, um, I wasn't like as muscular as I am now, but I generally was a little bit muscular, a little bit shorter. And so the dance teachers would like tell me not to do push-ups or to be careful not to get too big. So I used to do like a lot of circuit training, a lot of cardio, and I would do like arms, like some biceps and triceps, which I don't even train now, which is so funny. uh So no, I was not into lifting. I started lifting about a month before I started training for bodybuilding. I had seen this woman compete in bodybuilding and I was like, "Oh, her body looks so great." And so I like bought a program from her and started weight training. I was a personal trainer, but I just believed more in circuit training and I did that because I had a minor in science and I was looking to do have some other job besides bartending and stuff while I was dancing, but
Right.
I was not serious about lifting weights.
Wow. And so what year was that when you started lifting weights?
End of 2014. So
Okay.
actually August of 2014 was when I started training for my first competition. And then my first competition was um, Bev's Metropolitan Classic in 2015
Okay.
in
And
April.
and then at what year did you turn pro?
So I turned pro 2017 at Universe.
Okay, so it took 2 years.
2 years, yeah. I did Mets and I actually won both my classes, but back then I was competing in figure.
Okay.
And then I went to what was Miami Nationals back then, which is now I think in
Yeah, in
Texas.
Dallas, yeah.
Dallas, yeah. And I was like, well, back then, I don't know if they still do this now, but like after 16, everyone's just 16th place.
Yeah.
So I was like 16th place. And they just kept moving me out and out and out. And it was like I wanted to be like off stage. So that was my first national show in figure. The next year, I competed in figure and fitness at the Mets. And then I did Universe and turned pro in fitness.
Okay. Did you find that once you started lifting weights, like you just like responded really well? Like did you just put on muscle just like very
I
easily?
generally, yeah, I put on muscle very, very quickly, but in turn, I put on fat very quickly. And same thing, I don't lose muscle, even like in a
Mhm.
severe calorie deficit, but I also don't lose much body fat quickly. So
Okay.
pluses
Well,
and
yeah.
minuses.
Yeah. Well, that's really what I wanted to dig into today is take a look at like, top level Olympian and see what your kind of year-long process is because like really the prep for, next year starts right after the Olympia.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a year-round thing. So I want to see kind of what your general take was on like diet and training, and then get into more specific timeline, how you structure it out between like let's say last year's Olympia and this year's. Um, so for general, like for your diet, do you have like a certain philosophy with how you structure it? Like super high carbs and super low fats? Do you carb cycle? Like, what is your general take on
So
like
first
everything you're
off,
doing?
I follow a meal plan and check in weekly all year round.
Hmm.
So I have a meal plan from my coach and I follow that. I do like to know what my macros are and calories are, so I do plug it into a MyFitnessPal.
Hmm.
But I have a general plan and I believe in like an 80-20 rule. So 80% in my improvement season, 80% of my diet is the same foods, you know, typical bodybuilder whole foods, chicken,
Hmm.
eggs, sweet potatoes, rice, oatmeal, all of that. And then 20% is going to be, I love junk food. So in my improvement season, I always have one free meal. And then I do drink alcohol. So sometimes I'll have a second day where I have alcohol but keep my food normal, things like that.
So one free meal a week, or
Correct.
okay.
In my improvement season, if I go travel or things like that, I'm mindful of my caloric intake and I always have protein and keep my, breakfast the same. And then I will indulge throughout the week. But I'm always pretty mindful of how much I'm actually eating, even though
Yeah.
it's more calories or different food. I'm always, focused on what I'm putting in my body.
Okay. So your typical plan, do you have like, so do you know if you have like is it higher carb or do you have like added fats in each meal?
I would say
Yeah.
my plan now is pretty even. I would say if I had to guess, it's like a 40-30-30.
Okay.
And that's probably not exact, but I'm at about, right now, we've dropped my calories a little bit because I'm 10
Mhm.
weeks out from Olympia, but I'm at 200 grams of protein, I think 150 carbs and like 40 fat,
Okay.
something around that. Those are not
Yeah.
exact. Um, I generally have in the past, I've had much higher protein, moderate carbs, low fat.
Okay.
Right now, I would say it's a pretty good split, and it's been that way over the past year. But yeah, I don't like a low protein diet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't like a high fat diet. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I prefer like somewhere moderate with everything.
So do you like what is like an example of like a couple of your meals throughout the day?
So I can, yeah, my meals are again pretty much the same. Right now, they're very, very similar. I have eggs and egg whites and oatmeal in the morning.
Mhm.
My next meal is chicken, sweet potatoes, and cauliflower. The next meal is chicken, uh, jasmine rice, cauliflower. The next meal is chicken, avocado, sweet potato, cauliflower. The next meal is I use miracle noodles with our konjac noodle,
Oh,
ground beef, and sweet potato. And then my last meal is uh, whey isolate, peanut butter, and a rice cake.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever put the whey in like into like a Ninja Creamy, or do you
So
just
yeah, yeah, that's what I do every night.
oh,
I do protein and then Ninja Creamy. I do not like a shake.
yeah.
Unless it's like a blended with ice situation, but then they bother my stomach. Just the blended ice really bloats me. So I do, if I'm using protein powder, it's either protein pancakes and the Ninja Creamy, which is like the best thing ever
Yeah.
invented. Or I do like a protein pudding where I put like a tiny bit of water in it and make it's almost like a pudding frosting, whatever.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I never have like a shake with just water,
Okay.
ever.
Yeah, no, that was like the best discovery of prep for me was the Ninja
Yeah,
Creamy. We just
I
bought it.
have one every single night without fail.
Yeah, and even into the off season, that's like really kills a lot of the sweet tooth because you can just have a
Yeah,
giant.
and I'm a self-proclaimed ice cream addict, so it has really helped, especially on nights like I was talking about my improvement season where I have some alcohol and maybe I eat out, but I'm not like gonna have a bunch of junk, so I come home and I'll eat that, and it's very satisfying for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, awesome. So, in terms of your like general training, how does that change between your improvement season and prep?
It's funny. My training is pretty similar all year round. I don't know. I'm pretty just consistent. But when I come off of a competition, I'll do higher rep range and I do like an upper body, lower body split. So I'm just running upper
Okay.
body, lower body off. Or sometimes I do upper body off, lower body. And I kind of, I guess you would call that a deload. I don't really ever use these like,
Mhm.
I just do what, what I'm feeling with my training. Right now, moving into my lifts, I do a 3 day split, which I think is pretty typical, very typical for me. I do shoulders, legs, and back. One of my legs days, I try to focus more glutes and hamstrings and then finish with a quad movement, and
Mhm.
then vice versa. I do quads and then finish with a hamstring movement. And I do a similar split where I do 2 days on, 1 day off, or 3 days on, 1 day off. I don't
Okay.
generally lift more than 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
I
No.
don't have like it doesn't always work out where like Sunday's my rest day. Sometimes
Um,
it's Thursday, sometimes it's
right.
Sunday. It kind of varies.
So, but because you guys have that performance aspect too, is there like a day you have dedicated to that, or is that built in every day?
Every woman who competes does it differently. I personally don't. I will, like at the end of my shoulder day, I'll do a couple drills, probably like 10, 15 minutes. I'll do it, I'll do some ab core work that helps me with some of my fitness skills on the end of my leg day. It kind of just depends on how I'm feeling, what space I have in the gym, and, how my body's feeling that day or what I feel I need to work on and focus on.
Okay. So you just kind
And
of
then
build it.
routine, as I start to get into my routine and practicing that, I usually just try to time it out. So, like, it doesn't always work. I've done in the past where, like, every leg day I've done routine, which is really hard, especially when you're in a deficit. But
Yeah.
I've done it. Now I have a little more leeway with my timing and studio space. So I try to do it, like, on an off lift day or a shoulder day, which actually on a shoulder day is kind of hard too because I'm upside down a lot on my hands. So it's tough, but I kind of know I can feel it out in my body and feel when I can push it and when I need to pull back a little bit.
Do you have to do a lot of because a lot of it is like a lot of core work, right? Like the
Yeah,
where you go to handstand, like hold coming down into
right. Yeah.
yeah. So do
I
you have
do
to
a
do a
lot
lot
of
of individual
drills
core
that
work?
like help me with that. I don't always drill the handstands and things because one, I'm 41 and I just feel like my body's kind of beat up. Not that I'm old, but I am on the older range of
Mhm.
competing in the fitness division. And I feel like doing skills that correlate with my fitness skills is very helpful for me as opposed to just drilling those skills. It helps to connect, my body fully. It helps to me to feel strong in those skills. So that's really what I focus on.
Okay. Um, so as you progress through prep, do you typically reduce your volume or do you increase it or keep it the same relative to like the start of prep or the improvement season?
It generally stays about the same. In complete honesty, I've changed coaches. Last Arnold was my first prep with a new coach.
Mhm.
So my workout didn't really change much. I think my lifts were a little bit shorter,
Mhm.
but I was also lifting more often. So I think I'm not too sure as I get into this prep because it is still new. We're still learning
Yeah.
each other. He's still learning my body, how I respond. I do not recover very well. So very, very intense workouts, long workouts. I do take a little bit longer to recover. That much I know. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes leading into this prep, and
Yeah, and that makes sense
not
then.
exactly sure.
If he like reduces the volume per workout but like increases the frequency, then yeah, I guess that
Yeah,
makes sense where
it's
you're like,
funny. I feel like it's on like a broken record. Not much changes.
yeah.
Like I always kind of in between a 12 to 15 rep range. Like I said, when I come off a competition, sometimes I'll go up to a 20 just to give myself a little bit of break with the heavier weights. But generally speaking, it's pretty consistent.
Okay. And then when you train, do you train like all the way to failure on your sets, or do you like leave a little bit left?
I try to push myself. I feel like it's harder to push yourself than it is when you have a coach, but
Mm,
I really do push. I also have a lot of injuries on my lower body, so a lot of times I'm playing it a little bit safe. So I would say I'm close to failure when I'm on my own, but not as close if someone else was there. I try to play everything really safe, maybe too safe, but longevity for me,
it's working.
I
Yeah.
love bodybuilding and I love what I'm doing and I love the way I can transform my physique, but longevity for me is definitely at the top of my list.
Okay. Um, cool. So now let's break it down to like by the timeline. Because I think there's a couple different like periods of time where things might change a little. So you're going to the Olympia, and then you have to diet down to pretty lower calories. Your fatigue is going to be high training wise. So right after, it's like that rebound phase. I think that's like a period of time where a lot of people are confused on what to do. So and now I think a lot of people are kind of ending their season. So it's interesting to hear about. So how do you approach like those few weeks right after a show, um, like getting your calories back to like a decent amount and then or like back to maintenance or and how do you like approach training coming straight out of a show?
So training straight out of the show, I always lift not the day after the show, but sometimes the day after, but definitely the next day. I don't. A lot of people have this mentality that like it's over and they're gonna take a break.
Hmm.
Um, Again, broken record. I am very, very consistent. I still follow the plan. So 9 times out of 10, you haven't done legs, for the week. So I'll always do legs. If I compete on a Friday, I definitely do legs on Sunday.
Okay.
And it'll be a super light workout just to
Hmm.
get blood flowing. I've eaten a lot leading up, carving up, so I just like to push that food a little bit.
Glycogen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then I always, always have a reverse meal plan for the day after competition.
So then what was that day to the night of the competition? Do you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Night of the competition, I enjoy myself. I eat with my family and friends. Generally, I don't eat that much because I've eaten so much to carb up that I'm kind of like, and there's all that like adrenaline and stuff. So I definitely indulge. Usually we get the appetizers, all the appetizers. So it's like
Yeah.
nachos, chicken fingers, we split a burger. I always want one of everything. I don't
Hmm.
want like a full burger to myself or
Yeah.
anything.
You're gonna try
And
all the things you've been missing all the
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And it's more like of a celebration with my family.
Mhm.
The next day, I always do my normal breakfast. Usually it's eggs. I won't have oatmeal. I'll have like a toast or a bagel or something like that. It's kind of like
Mhm.
within my plan. And then that night I'll have, usually I go for like a burger, a steak dinner, French fries, some wine. That following Sunday, I'm right back to my plan. So it goes right back to eggs, oatmeal, chicken, rice, all the things. And then I will have a free meal midweek that week
Mhm.
with friends again to celebrate when I'm back home, and then one on the weekend, and then I go back to one free meal a week from there. And again, I'm on plan, so I check in every Friday with my coach.
Mhm.
By Friday afternoon, I have, if we're upping my calories, what we're doing. Usually we increase very minimally, like I'm talking like
So that
5 grams of carbs,
okay.
at a time.
So that week, like that Monday or Sunday, so like, is your food basically the same as it was going into like the 2 weeks out?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, it's the exact same as it was. I wouldn't say peak week because things kind of
Yeah,
can
these are
change there
different
a
people.
tiny bit. We really didn't change much this last peak week.
Mhm.
I I don't even think we changed anything going into. I mean, we cut vegetables, so. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'll go right back to that. Let's just say like 2 weeks out plan, and
Mhm.
then from there we increase calories usually weekly.
Okay. And so you
And
kind of
usually it starts with carbs, a little bit of fat, then protein. It depends on what my physique looks like, but
Mhm.
it's very, very minimal and it's weekly.
Okay. Do you are you someone that puts on like a lot of like water retention after eating
Yes.
like a bad meal?
Yeah. I'm definitely, one of those people who retains a lot of water. Um, if I have a free meal, if I don't sleep well, if I have a hard workout,
Mhm.
hormonal, if I am just like super anxious, my body holds water like it's its job.
So after that weekend, so like so you have a let's say you have a free meal Saturday and Sunday. How much of like a weight increase do you see by Monday morning compared to your stage weight?
Oh, 5 pounds ish.
Okay. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean, I'm small, remember? So it's like,
yeah.
it's not like these guys that increase like 20 pounds.
Mhm.
It's definitely not like that. By the time I get to peak week, I probably, actually this year, I dropped maybe like 3-ish pounds into the show.
Okay.
It just depends on how we pull water and how much we carb up, but generally 5 to 7 pounds. It's not ever more than that.
Okay. So it's not nothing too crazy.
No, I feel it.
Yeah.
I'm only 5'1.5". So my stage weight is between like 122, 125. Right now I'm sitting at 136.
Okay.
So my range, because I'm small and because I like to stay on the leaner side, isn't really, I know there's some people who put on like 20 pounds in 3 days.
Yeah, but
I
I guess
just,
if you look at it as like a percentage of body weight, it's like yeah, like about 5%
yeah.
increase after
I honestly
like
don't
a week.
feel good like that. I don't think it's healthy. I've
Yeah.
never been one to do that. I definitely indulge and have overindulged in the past and retained a lot of water, but I don't think it's ever been closer to 10 pounds maybe one year. It felt so uncomfortable. I was like absolutely miserable. So I won't do that again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone has to make that mistake once when they
Yeah.
just
I
gain a
mean,
bunch
listen,
of water,
I've
they
been
feel
doing this for a
horrible and
long
they never
time
do it
now,
again.
so I think at some point you kind of get, over that feeling and you just don't want to feel awful.
Yeah.
But I
Uh,
learned pretty quick.
so how long does that phase get? So because like you're still in a deficit at that point, right? Like if you're eating your 2 week out diet, you're still in a pretty big deficit. So
Yeah,
like
I would say it's funny. So little backstory. I started HRT in May.
mm,
Was that right? I don't even know. I think it's been a year. I think. So I had noticed that my labs were off, but my general doctors were kind of like, "You're fine. You're within range. You're fine. You're fine." And I was like, "Okay," but I don't think so. So I finally saw a hormone specialist who was an athlete herself, very familiar with bodybuilding, and I just went in to run labs just to get like a baseline because I just turned 40, and I thought at some point I'm going to be hitting this point where I maybe want to do HRT. I've been very familiar with it. My mom had been on it for years, so come to find out, my levels were really, really bad. So my thyroid was really, really low. My testosterone was really low, actually undetectable at that point, and I didn't realize how bad my hormones were. And the reason I say that is because my calories were getting super, super low as I was aging, and I was not
Yeah.
dropping body fat. So started HRT, completely different as far as body composition goes and being able to eat. So Arnold prep last year in comparison to Olympia 2024, I was eating 500 calories more a day.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
It's
Yeah.
a huge difference, and it's a huge difference for someone my size.
Yeah.
That's a lot of food. So that being said, yes, I guess I was in a deficit, but I didn't really realize, I didn't really think I was in a deficit because my calories were so high.
So it still felt okay. So yeah.
Yeah, so coming out of that, yeah, I was in a deficit. I think if you amortize like free meals out throughout the week, I was probably
Averages.
closer to maintenance. But we did increase quite a bit from there. I would say, it's crazy to think, almost another 500 to 600 calories. So
Okay.
I'm back down about 300 from, I guess we'll call it maintenance.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you know around what that number is?
It was about 2100.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was like your 2 week
That's the
out?
most I've ever eaten in my entire life of bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's
I've never done like a bulking season. I've, yeah, I mean, that was, and at 41,
yeah.
yeah, maintaining body fat percentage.
So is that so if you just went on HRT, so does that mean were you competing naturally before that?
So I was not completely natural, but I had never taken testosterone of any sort. Um, so yeah, I started testosterone supplements, very, very mild. I'm doing 10 milligrams a week,
Hmm.
which in bodybuilding land is like a
Yeah.
droplet. So my reason for doing taking testosterone now is not to get to put on muscle or all of that. It's really just to optimize my hormones at this point.
Right. And just
Yeah.
feel better and feel good, healthy. Okay, so in general, for like the fitness division, is that PED usage, like how does that compare to other divisions? Like is it like pretty comparable to like a figure?
I would say it's comparable. I think everyone's so different. I don't know what everyone else is doing. It's not like, people put up like their macros and their cardio and their fitness drills, but they don't really, divulge that information. I would say looking at physiques, some people are, comfortable with taking more than others. Some people are completely natural. You can see in the physiques that are coming up, the women who have less muscle or a little bit softer are more focused on their fitness routines because it is 2/3 of our score.
Hmm.
In the past, I think physiques were getting much larger, much leaner, much harder. So those women maybe were taking a little bit more than others. I think it's I think it's maybe just divided in our division because the routine portion is so heavily judged that some women are like, physique doesn't matter, and I'm not really comfortable doing that, so they don't really feel like they have to. Whereas in figure or even bikini or wellness, it's hard to be competitive
Right.
without taking any PEDs. So I think that ours is very muddy as far as like looking at physiques, looking at people and
Right.
saying what people are on or not. And
Uh,
unfortunately, women aren't very open with PEDs because there's such a stigma on us as opposed to men. Men,
mhm.
it's like considered cool to talk about what you're taking, and it's very just
Yeah.
okay. In bodybuilding land, I think there's a
Right.
stigma outside of bodybuilding land, but in bodybuilding land, women are a little bit more closed off and I think, judged for it. So they don't really speak up on it. So I have no idea.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true, and yeah, it is also unfortunate because like yeah, it's much harder for these like newer women coming up to know what to do because like yeah, there's not a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people talking about it. It's hard, I think, because people may assume one thing or the other, and people may say they're natural when they're not. People may say, "Oh, I'm taking X, Y, and Z," but they're taking like the entire alphabet. Um, and I think it's hard because there's a lot of coaches out there, and people will push PEDs right from the gate. Where I think you should do your first couple competitions natural, see what your physique is like. You should be coming off of things for numerous months out of the year, depending on the division that you're in, depending on your
Mhm.
physique. So I think it's unfortunate for women as far as PEDs go and what's out there as far as information, what's acceptable to talk about,
Mhm.
what's acceptable to do, all of that kind of stuff.
So coming out of a competition, is that generally the time where you would also like come off all the PEDs, and then how long does that like phase last where you're just like building up your calories again and like letting your health kind of recover, letting your body kind of reset before
For
you.
me, it's a very, very long time. My whole thing, like I said before, is longevity, health, my life. So I'm always looking at that. I've been very, very lucky to have. I've only had two coaches in my career, and both of them are not big on pushing, PEDs for long periods of time. So coming off of them, it's immediate almost, and
Mhm.
as long as possible to stay off. So I would say anywhere between 5 to 7 months.
Well, okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big portion of time. And is
Again, I
there?
put on muscle really, really easily. I hold and maintain muscle. I'm not trying to put on any more muscle at this point in my
Mhm.
career. A little bit of density in my legs, maybe a little bit, in my back, glutes, but it's not, I'm not trying to put on a lot more size.
Okay, and is that what the judges' sort of feedback was for you? Is like you're on the like what was their feedback for last year?
It's funny. I don't reach out for feedback much because I feel like I can look at the physiques that they're rewarding and kind of know where I stand.
Hmm.
And I just judge off of that for the most part. I have had feedback in the past. Usually it was bring up my legs. This past couple shows, I don't think we nailed it on the conditioning. My conditioning needs to come in a little bit tighter, harder. Um, in the past, we've really driven conditioning, but I get pretty stringy. I have really long legs for my height. And so when we dry me out, really, really get really shredded, I look a little bit stringier.
Hmm.
So I have a very, very fine line. I'm sure other people do, but for me, it's very fine between being too full and too lean. And we're really trying to find that middle ground. Um, I'm built very square. So if I'm not full enough, I don't have much shape.
Hmm.
Um, but if I'm not dry enough, I don't have that naturally very dry look to me.
Hmm.
I don't walk around like that. It's not my genetics. So we do have to dry me out to a certain extent. So it's a little bit of this like seesaw. We haven't quite nailed it yet.
Okay, I mean that's incredible that you got you won the Arnold and got
Yeah.
second at Olympia and you don't feel like you nailed it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, there's a couple years that I think I like the way my physique looks.
Mhm.
I was definitely leaner, not as full, a lot drier, but I was also told I was too lean.
Okay. Um, what? So obviously getting that balance of like
Yeah.
dryness and fullness, a lot of it has to do with like water manipulation the last couple days, right? So like, what did that look like for you?
So actually, very different this prep with a different coach as far as food and carbing up and water. We don't manipulate sodium at all. I never have. I've never front loaded water. I think it's called front load. Is
Yeah,
it?
the water loading, like the
Water
three.
loading. I've never
Or
water
loading.
loaded.
Yeah.
I have pulled water significantly where I was going from a gallon and a half and down to like, I don't know, 60 ounces or less
Hmm.
than that. This prep was water was pretty much the same. And we carved up very slowly. So I started carving up on Tuesday. My show was Wednesday.
Okay.
In the past, I've only carved up Thursday and Friday. So
Okay.
this time we carved up less food slower.
Hmm.
In the past, we really pushed food on Thursday and Friday. This physique was probably my best shape I've gotten. I was very full. I was a decent conditioning, not enough to place in the top 3 for the competitors that I was against. The
Hmm.
competitors I was against were bigger and drier than me,
Okay.
and that's what they rewarded.
Hmm.
So, yeah. It all depends on who I step on stage with.
Yeah.
As far as water manipulation and carbs go, it's hard for me to say because what I've done in the past, I didn't do the last time around. So it's been a very different year for me.
Okay. So this past show, you kind of just kept water constant going
Yeah,
in.
but I do only carb up with the same foods I've been eating.
Okay.
I
So no.
never switch foods.
Yeah, that
So
makes
it's
sense.
always chicken and jasmine rice to carb up.
Do they do you lower your protein amount like the day before?
Yes, I do lower my protein amount. Yeah.
And the day of the show, are you still on pace for that same amount of water, or like do you cut it back the day of?
I think we cut back water a little bit. I can't remember. I have to look at my notes. Um,
Yeah.
but we did cut in the past. It would be, I mean, in the past, I would do like 2 to 4 to 6 ounces per meal,
Okay.
which is very minimal. If I'm having like
Mhm.
7 meals, let's say I did 2, that's like, 20 ounces of water. It was
Yeah.
like very hard for me, actually. So I
Did you
don't
feel like
remember what I did for Arnold this last year. I'll have to look it up.
do you feel like it changed your look when you cut water that severely? Like, do you feel like it makes you like go flat, or do you feel like it helps and dried you out?
I have a hard time noticing if I'm flat or full. That one is very hard for me to see on my own physique. I notice I'm much tighter.
Okay.
That I can tell. Like my legs, my abs are much, much tighter. Um, it also, I feel like crap.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I'm very sensitive to that. I get a headache immediately. Yeah,
And your lips are
all
like,
of it. Yeah,
yeah.
that is probably my least favorite part of the entire process.
Yeah. Um, okay. So that's going into peak week, and then right after you kind of go back to your 2 week out diet, and then ramp it up fairly quickly back into like, um, so like maybe within
I
four
would
or 5 weeks,
say
are you back at like,
so we had March, April, May. I would say it took me 3 months to get to like a maintenance.
okay, and then that maintenance calories, what is that kind of sitting at now?
So my calories are back down now.
No, like
I'm at,
when you're at maintenance, like
that was about
not season or like
2,100, including a free meal.
okay, and then that improvement season lasts for how many months?
This I would consider like 12 to 16 weeks out when I don't really ever like start prep.
Yeah.
I do start to like sometimes I'll change over my foods, like I'll have um like an apple instead of my oatmeal or something like that, just to give me a little bit of variety. So I
Mhm.
start changing all of that at 16 weeks, and then at 12 weeks I cut out like anything of that sort. So what was your question? I'm sorry.
When you go into your improvement season, like what
Well,
is
how long?
yeah,
So
how long?
we're in
And
August 1st right now. So
yeah,
Arnold was March. So March, April, May, June. I would say end of June.
okay. And then
So
but
3 months, 4 months.
and what's like the goal? Because like, do you ever go into like a surplus? Because like you said, you don't really need to put on more muscle, right? So do you just stay at maintenance? Okay.
Yeah, and I put on muscle in a maintenance. I put on muscle in a caloric deficit. I don't believe that you need a surplus of food. I believe you just put on body fat.
That's
I
interesting.
put on muscle going into a show at like we're talking like 1,000 calories.
Okay.
I believe it's all about your training, the way you train, my muscle connection, angles. I don't think you need listen, maybe if you're open bodybuilding, I
Mhm.
get it, but you're trying, maintain that muscle and your body's just like a furnace. But at my level, I don't believe you need, you know, 400 grams of carbs.
Do you think that it has to do with your like protein amount then, or do you think like do you have to keep your protein pretty high in going into a
I mean,
deficit
I
then?
believe in 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per body weight for
Okay.
sure. I think it keeps you satiated. I think it keeps your metabolism firing. I think it's good for your brain, maintaining muscle. I think you can put on a significant amount of muscle in a maintenance zone. I would say maybe a tiny surplus, but I think people eat a ton and put on a ton of body fat, and I just to me, and then you have to lose it all.
Mhm. Yeah, so maybe just yeah, either a very slight surplus or
Yeah,
maintenance.
exactly.
And
Yeah. I mean, if you amortize my free meals out over the week, I would say I'm in a surplus.
so are you slowly gaining weight throughout the off season, or does your weight stay pretty steady then?
I get slowly gain weight and then stabilize. My weight fluctuates a lot. I can go up 3 to 4 pounds, back down 3 to 4 pounds.
Hmm.
It definitely fluctuates, but I know when I'm like at my comfortable weight range,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it just kind of levels off.
Okay.
It
And that
levels off where it's just oscillating between,
okay, what
it's
are
usually about 135 to 138. I'm kind of like in here.
mhm.
Yeah.
And then your stage weight you said was
My stage weight has been around 122 to 125.
oh,
I
so that's
think,
only about 15 pounds over stage
yeah,
weight.
I don't, yeah, and honestly, I always go off of my peak week weight because we
Hmm.
dry out and hold a lot of water.
Hmm.
So I would say my peak week, I'm like 128. So it's really about a 10, maybe 12 pound range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. That's pretty lean and
Yeah,
close.
it's on the leaner side. It's what I'm comfortable walking around in my physique, in my clothes. I don't feel comfortable with a lot of body fat on me.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't really make sense if you're not trying to like you don't need to put on a ton of muscle, so it's like
Yeah, and I don't know, like you can put on muscle without putting on body fat, and that's,
mhm.
they don't body fat doesn't turn into muscle. So
Right.
I've definitely put on muscle in my improvement season, the way I am. I've been training properly, eating sufficient amount, resting. There are a lot of components that go into putting on muscle. That's not
Mhm.
just food.
Right. Yeah, I guess resting is a huge one. So are you able to do you try and like really prioritize getting a certain amount of sleep every
Oh
night?
yeah. I put my phone away at 9 o'clock in the kitchen. I go to bed and then I watch TV and I go to bed around 9:30, 9:45. I read a little bit and then I go to bed. I sleep about 7 hours right now, give or take, and I use a real alarm clock to wake up if I'm waking up to an alarm.
Okay. Um, yeah, I mean, and that I'm sure like when you said when you get less sleep, you notice like
Oh.
yeah, you're not filtering as much water and you're not
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a huge component of
It
all of
is
it.
huge, and it's been taught to me over the years that like rest is super, super important. My schedule didn't allow for as much rest as I should have been taking in the past, but the past couple years I've really focused on, making my schedule so that I can sleep more.
Okay. Um, and going to prep, do you ever get to a point where your sleep starts suffering?
Yeah, I would say the leaner I get, the more anxious I get. My sleep suffers, meaning I don't get as good of sleep.
Hmm.
I'm just like running all the time. Naturally, I'm like that. I'm like that right now, working on it. But my brain kind of just like
Yeah,
fires in overdrive.
yeah,
Um, so I still get the same amount of time. I'm still in bed the same amount of time. I just usually wake up more. Like I wake up
yeah,
to pee probably 2 or 3 times instead of just once. The lower carbs just tends to do that. But my
right.
brain does fire in the middle of the night, which is not great.
So
Meaning,
what do you
like, I
do?
have tons of thought. I wake up to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom and I have like numerous thoughts.
So I actually noticed that this prep for myself more than ever before, where I was waking up a million, like probably 5, 6 times a night to go pee, and I was like couldn't go back to sleep, and my sleep was really bad for a lot of it. So what are some things that you did to
Well,
try and
it's
force
funny.
yourself to rest?
I don't have a problem falling back to sleep,
Okay.
which is great, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, so reading before bed has really helped me, even if it's just like a couple pages. I read fiction books, so I think it takes my mind off of my to-do list. I'm really like I'm OCD, so my to-do lists are always running through my head, even if I write them down. I have them written down on a piece of paper on my desk. I have them written down on my phone. I remember them, but it's just the way my brain works. So I found that reading before bed really helps. Like I said, I put my phone away. I'm not on my phone with at least 30 minutes, usually 45 minutes before I get in bed. I did start taking magnesium citrate, which is supposed to help.
Mhm.
I don't think it's like the answer, but I do think it's helpful. So I also go through in my brain. I guess it would be some sort of meditation if you want to call it that, but I just try to calm my thoughts. I go through what I'm thankful for every night and who I'm thankful for. I thank my body. I kind of give myself props for the day, and then I go through like family members, friends, things that I'm thankful for, and that kind of like it's like that old mentality where you're supposed to like count sheep and eventually you fall asleep.
Mhm.
Or- So
No,
that,
I think that's like very profound. So like
yeah,
before bed, that you go through a list of everything you're thankful for, and because that's also like been shown, like to be really good just in general for your mindset. It's just like, yeah,
yeah, it's
think-
very helpful for me. It works most of the time.
yeah. And then as you get even closer to the show, like let's say you're 2, 3, 4 weeks out, um, does issue become worse, or are you still able to kind of manage it with those things?
I think I end up just waking up earlier than I need to.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I'll wake up at like 4:30 and I'm like, I mean, I'm up. I might as well go do my cardio and get the day started.
And then do you
Um,
compensate for like going to bed earlier, or are
I
you
do
like
try to take a nap. I don't go to bed earlier because then I'm afraid I'm going to wake up earlier.
Mhm.
But I do try to take a nap. Like usually if I take my watch off and put my phone on do not disturb away from me, I can knock out for a good 30 minutes and I try to be on the couch for about an hour. I won't nap in my bed. I only nap on my couch. I don't know. It's a weird thing that I have. But yeah, I do generally try to take a nap, at least close my eyes for 20 minutes.
Okay. So you kind of try to make up for the less
Yeah,
sleep.
I make up for it in that way. I feel like if I go to bed earlier, I'll be anxious about waking up earlier.
Hmm.
So I just, yeah.
And the only supplements you use are just like the magnesium.
At night, I do magnesium. Now, I did just start on progesterone because my hormone levels were so low this time around. So that can lead to, more anxiety, restless sleep. So I'm interested
Mhm.
to see if that's going to help as well. And that I take at night. And I actually just started that last night. So I don't know yet, but
Okay.
we'll
Yeah,
see.
that'll help.
To
Yeah.
be determined.
Yeah. I guess plan for going into the Olympia this year, like in terms of like what are you trying to bring differently than last year?
So definitely leaner. I think, like I said before, we've achieved a little bit of a fuller physique at the Arnold.
Hmm.
This year, I want to maintain that fullness, but be a lot leaner. So that's what I really want to bring. And then I want to tweak up my presentation on my physique round a little bit, just kind of, refine it. So I'm hoping that that helps with the physique portion and knocks me, gets me up into the, top placings for that. Routine wise, we're switching it up a little bit. I have been known in the past to do like a little bit slower, a little bit more dance oriented, I guess people say. I don't really know. We're trying to bring a little bit more of a wow factor, a little faster pace. Still very, very much me, but
Mhm.
just a little bit, I think faster is really what it is.
Okay, so it's like a little bit faster paced
Yeah,
and
and just
high energy
entertainment
and
value. My routines, I never have like I mean, I've put in like new skills before. This year, my skills are pretty much similar with little tweaks. But just entertainment, I always want to make sure that I enjoy what I'm doing, and that way it comes across to the audience and they feel my passion on stage and the judges enjoy it. So, really just, entertainment.
Who do you think like your two biggest competition is going into it?
Interesting. I would
First place is no longer.
So Missy has moved to figure, so she's
Yeah,
not there anymore. I don't think um, Ariel is not competing in Olympia this year, so she won't be there. Taylor placed third last year and second the year before. Her routines are incredible. She's really been working on her physique, so I would say she's definitely up there with top competitor. Shelly is really great. She's definitely up there. She's got a beautiful physique, beautiful structure. Her routines are really powerful. I would say Tamara won the physique round, I believe, at Arnold. Her physique is insane. She's so consistent with her physique, and she's again got beautiful structure, beautiful muscle bellies, always super lean. Her routines are really powerful and entertaining. She always comes with some kind of fun theme.
yeah,
And then I think the other one will be Allison Kramer. She's got a fantastic shape. She was, very, very blessed with that tiny waist, wide shoulders. Her routines are fun. She's got a lot of great skills. So, and I think that's like the top four from Arnold this year. I'm looking at my pictures up here. Yeah, I think those, that's I think I would say,
yeah,
it's hard for me to say. It's so subjective, our sport, but that's
yeah.
like who's been landing in the top for Arnold's and Olympias in the past couple of years.
Yeah. No, I've seen Allison since she's on with ProSeek. I've been seeing her updates a lot, and like she looks incredible.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, she looks great. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, last question, which is like the fitness category in general. It seems like all of you are just like so close and like tight, very tightly knit compared to other divisions. What do you think is the reason for that?
I think the fitness division is a little bit smaller. I think that there's camaraderie because of our routines, and not every competitor knows what it's like to go through that and to be that lean, that exhausted, that dried out, and still tumbling, and kind of a little bit on the crazy side as far as wanting to do that, or continuing to compete at this level, and tumbling in a deficit and all that kind of stuff. So I think that is one thing that brings us closer together as competitors. I think there's also, funny enough, there's always this. Fitness was one of the first female divisions in bodybuilding. I don't think a lot of people know that, with women's bodybuilding. And there's always this threat that the fitness division is dying out because there's always less competitors, less shows have our division. So there's less opportunity for us to compete. There's less opportunity for us to get to Olympia, so on and so forth. So I think that kind of brings the competitors together to really try to promote our division, get other people in our division, keep our division alive, so to speak. And I think that's
Yeah,
really where the camaraderie comes into play.
yeah, no, that makes sense. And lastly, so you are on ProSeek.
Yes.
So I just wanted you to, I guess, describe what kind of services you offer on there, and people, what could they get from you?
Yeah, so I have nutrition and workout consultations. So you can meet with me and get a consult on what you're doing right now with your nutrition. I can give you some suggestions. I also have fitness routine and any posing critiques, and helping tweak those kind of things. If you already have a posing routine, I can help tweak that. Same with fitness routines, helping to choreograph or tweak those. And then just Q&As, anything that you want to jump on and ask me about bodybuilding, New York City life. I'm a fitness nutrition specialist, so I work with lifestyle people as well. So any questions that you have for me regarding prep or what I do, or my training splits, anything that has to do with fitness and nutrition, I'm kind of an open book when it comes to that. So
Yeah, Jacqueline's amazing and so knowledgeable. So yeah, thank you so much for getting
thank
on here
you.
and sharing a lot of that insight with us. I think that's like it's such a like you said, there's just not a lot of content from high level women coming out and just explaining what they do. And I think it's just so helpful for people coming up to hear these things.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you promoting women and women in the bodybuilding. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited to keep up with your Olympia prep, and well, I guess I'll see you soon at the Rising Phoenix too, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah,
Proceed
I'm
will be
headed out to
popping
Phoenix
on.
actually in 2 weeks, so I'll be out there for the last 8 weeks of my prep.
Okay, is that because is your coach there
Yeah,
or?
yeah. So I'm now Damian Segovia is my coach. He's based out of Phoenix, so I'll go and stay there and really kind of just hone in on my training, get out of my norm, all my
Mhm.
normal hustle and bustle of New York
New
City
York life.
life, and just kind of calm in Phoenix and really focus on everything Olympia out there.
Awesome. Okay, let me stop recording. Well, thank you, Jaclyn.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.